Now obviously there's a lot of range of motion that's missing or could be missing on many of you guys that will hurt your ability to do this nice even transfer to the back leg. We're going to go over in this video some ways to ensure that the ankle as well as the toes are in the right place for that weight shift. So sometimes we're simply missing some range of motion out of that ankle. And there's a quick, easy way to get that. One is just doing kind of this little flexion so that you're getting some of that ankle stretch, but sometimes your load here is just not enough. You don't feel like you're getting a lot of leverage. So in that case, you can take a pretty heavy, I'm using a 30-pounder here, and then you're just going to tuck that foot in and then use the weight on the edge of your knee to create more stretch. And then just rocking into that, getting some stretch out of that. Feel it out. Try to let that foot relax underneath that load in order to allow that weight to give you more mobility. Same thing here, we want to be able to use that new range of motion so you can do some heel lifts from there. And then once you're done with that, you can also try to raise the front end of your foot. Now you're at your end range, it will be tough. So just start off with the toes, lifting them up. Eventually, as you gain more range, you might start to be able to pull the front of that foot up. So sometimes you're going to be limited in range of motion here. What you might need to do is get some flexibility out of the joint. So if you pull back and there's not a lot of movement there, you can take your thumbs right at the hinge, so you can see that there's kind of a hinge right here. And I'm just going to put it right on the back side. And I'm just going to pull this on the outside, and then I'm pushing my thumb that way. And you'll feel pressure under your thumb, but you'll feel a little pressure build up over on this side. The other thing that you can do is work the tendon a little bit. So if I go over here, you can see that the toe flexes a little bit. So I can push down and then stretch underneath that and do almost like a stroking down that tendon. This is not normally comfortable, so be ready for it to hurt a little bit, but that's going to give you some flexibility out of that toe, which will help you out with that transition from that squat into the pistol squat. So many times we're going to have issues with just moving from the foot or the ankle to the great toe. Sometimes people will end up putting way too much plantar flexion, and if you see, as I point my ankle down, I have to push more range of motion through my great toe. That is a limiting factor on a lot of people that doesn't need to be there. So what you need to do is teach your big toe as well as the ankles how to communicate with each other. That can be done in kind of this lunging position. And then what you do is you rock forward and backward, teaching how much range of motion each other has. That way they can continue to work together to figure this out. Once you get that down, then you'll note that the transition going backwards is much easier.